Hello YouTubers, welcome back to Stretch's Tips, Tricks, and Tools. My name is Stretch. Thanks for coming back to my channel. I'll show you what my next project is going to be. This is my next project. It's a Craftsman 10-inch bandsaw. It's been sitting in a guy's garage for a long time. He says it needs some work. He can't get it to work right. And I made him a deal on it, and we're going to take a look at it and see what we can find and see if we can get it fixed. So, well, I popped the cover off that thing and went to take a closer look at it. And it looks to me like everything is where it belongs. It's got, looks like it's got pretty good rubber on the tires. They're not all broken and cracked. Does look like it's been a nest of rats sometime in the near past. There's all kinds of insulation and stuff in here. Let's turn this puppy on and see what she does. Whoa. Well, she threw a tire and the blade's coming off. Now I'm just noticing this lower wheel, the bearing is real loose. So that's the first thing we're going to have to repair on this thing, because the way these blades stay on here is that these pulleys are grounded. So the belt tries to go on the biggest part. And if the wheel's not lined up straight with each other, it'll try to come off, just like it did on the bottom. I think if this pulley was lined up straight, the belt probably would have stayed on, or the blade probably would have stayed on. So let me get some tools. We'll take that lower wheel off and see if we can identify the bearing and get one ordered. See if we can get that changed. Okay, let's, first of all, let's unplug this thing. You'll never want to work on a tool that's plugged in. That way you don't have to accidentally hurt yourself. Okay, let's take this blade out of here. This takes the 72 5/8 blade, as far as the length of it goes. Right here, there you go. It's got a bolt here you gotta take loose. It holds the table together. That way the blade can slide out. Set the blade over here. Let me get my little parts tray. Remember, I showed you this parts tray for keeping all your goodies in so they don't get lost. Let's be sure and use that. And let me get a screwdriver. This has got an E-clip on here that holds this on. You can just pop them off with a screwdriver usually, without too much trouble. This is what she looks like. It's just a little E-clip. See how tight that wheel is. Well, there's a little washer back here too. Small little washer. It's this little springy washer. Okay. Well, looks like I'm going to have to take this back cover off, because this looks like this shaft is loose also. You can see the pulley moves. And also the shaft moves. So we're going to have to see what the problem is with that. I needed to get this pulley off of here. And the bearings are locked up and it spun this whole shaft, so I hope it hadn't ruined that shaft. The way I did it, I got this, I got my puller here little 3-jaw puller. I think this is OTC, I can't remember. But it has the ability to have a 2-jaw puller or a 3-jaw puller. And I got the puller on there. If I can show you how I did this. I kind of did this off camera, but I'm kind of reenacting it so you can get an idea. Got the puller on here with the 3-jaw. Isn't the easiest thing I want to do. Anyway, you get the idea. Had the 3-jaw puller on here, and it pulled off pretty tight, but I was able to get it off. Turns out the bearings did spin on this shaft also a little bit. I don't think it's damaged that bad, but the bearings are froze up in here. You can't turn them. So we're gonna have to get some new bearings for this. And I don't know about this shaft, having this slop in here is gonna make any difference or not. It's got like a copper spacer on here, so you can't really get in here to weld without taking that off. But what I'm gonna do is get the new bearings put in there, put it back together, see what it does. Maybe okay, just like this, because the tension of the blade will keep that up there tight. But there is some slop in here, and I'm not sure that that's from the shaft spinning, or maybe that's just built into the machine. I kind of doubt it, because it's only got the slop on this one side over here. The other side's pretty tight. So let's get some bearings in this thing, and we'll see where we're at. Okay, here's our new bearings that we got today. They're a special bearing. A regular 6202 bearing has a different size inner shaft size, and it won't fit. You have to get these special bearings to fit this saw. They're a 6202-5S or something like that. I don't know. I have to go look at the thing and see what it said. But just remember, when you're going to order bearings for that, it takes a special one. It needs a 5/8 inner shaft size, and the regular 6202, the shaft is smaller and will not fit the shaft. As you can see on the wheel here, inside the wheel, there's a little metal ring that the bearings butt up against when you press them in, and then they just take and they stake the edge there just to kind of help hold the bearing in. But they're a press fit, pretty tight. They're not going to come out of there, I don't think. But they just do that for overkill, just to make sure that there's no way those bearings are ever going to come out of there. So let me get some tools. We'll get these bearings put in, get the wheel put on, and see what we have. Okay, getting ready to put these bearings in. I don't have a press, so we're going to tap these in. What I've got, I've got a socket here that's just a little bit smaller than the size of the bearing, but still big enough that it'll hammer on the race. You don't want to hammer on the inside of the race, because you can distort the races inside or damage the ball bearings. So we'll put this on here. I've got this dead blow hammer. Use it to get it started, and then we can use this to finish it off. Hear that one bottomed out. Put this over and make sure that's all the way in, and we'll repeat. Okay, that looks good. Let me get a punch to stake these, just in case. We take this little punch here, and we're just going to dimple the edge here a little bit. Just a little bit of a dent there, so those bearings can't accidentally slip out of there. And see how we've got that. It's just dimpled over just a little bit. Keep that bearing from coming out of there. Same on this side. Just a little bit of a dimple will keep that bearing locked in there. Okay, let's get these wheels on, this wheel on, and see how we did. Okay, we've got the wheel on. Not forget our little spring washer and our E-clip to hold it in position. Okay, we've got the pulley on, got the E-clip in place, spins very free. Pulley just still has a little bit of play in it, and I guess that's normal for these things because that's right in the new bearings, that play there. The shaft, I pushed that bushing in a little bit and it tightened up that shaft, so there's not a lot of slop there. One of the other problems I found with this machine was that this bolt you see here that I replaced, this is the adjustment for your upper wheel to lean it in or out to keep the blade on there properly, was missing. Someone had taken a bolt and put it in over here with nuts on it to try to get this thing to track properly. Unfortunately, they didn't have the manual, so they didn't know exactly what they needed to do to get it to work. But there is supposed to be a pin sticking out there that holds this whole wheel mechanism in position, and I'm going to leave that bolt on there just to serve that purpose. So let me show you how I made the repair to this section of the saw. I don't know how much of that you're going to be able to see with my big hands in the way, but let's see what we can do here. I think what I'm going to do is just leave this bolt in here, take these nuts out of the way here, and that bolt will act as the guide pin that's supposed to be in there. Let me tighten these nuts up here, then I can screw the bolt and tighten the nut on the inside here that will hold the bolt. that bolt, and then we can take these nuts off. Apparently whoever worked on this didn't have the manual. So they tried to figure out a way to fix this. But now you can see that the pulley has the ability to move back and forth this way, and also to move, well, the tension's tight here, but if I loosen this tension up, you can see it has the ability to move up and down, or up and down. You can see that it can now move up and down to take up the tension on the belt. So now we need to put this bolt in here so we can adjust the back and forth movement this way. This is the bolt that I got. It's a hex head cap screw. It's about 2 inches long, and it takes a 1/4 inch Allen key to screw it in. And it's a tight fit, which is good because it'll be able to maintain its adjustment once you get it adjusted. And now this can adjust just this wheel back and forth. There's also another adjustment. If your saw blade doesn't run true on the wheels, you may need to take this pulley and move it in and out this way. We'll have to see how that works once we put the blade, I keep calling it a belt, put the blade back on. So let's do that. Let's put the blade back on and see how this is going to work. Once we get the blade to track properly on the wheels, then we can adjust the wheel guides that hold the blade. So let's see what we do here. Okay, so that's going to be too far in. So we need to adjust this out a little bit here. What are you hitting on there? Got a tension adjustment thing right in here. Okay, the blade is tracking properly on the upper wheel, but as you can see on the lower wheel, the lower wheel actually needs to be tilted back that way some. So we may have to make an adjustment on this. Let me get an Allen wrench to loosen up all those blade guides. Let me take this blade guard off here so you can see what I'm trying to do here. Right now the blade's up against this guide wheel, so we need to move everything back that way, get it loose. Let's stand it. Put this back here temporarily because we need to get the blade where it's not touching anything. Got the proper tension. There's a tension mark in here for this big washer. Tell you when you have the proper tension. Here's if that's the top blade's tracking pretty well. The bottom blade is not bad. Let me plug this in and we'll give it a run and see what she does just for fun. Okay. We're pretty close. We're close on the top. We're pretty close on the bottom. Let's see what it does here. Okay, you can see the top blade is tracking right in the center of the gullet. Bottom blade, bottom wheel, a little bit off center. I don't know if we can correct that or not. We'll with them for one thing. Okay, as you can see, under here, the blade is rubbing on this adjustment here. So I need to move it back also. That's what's keeping this blade off the wheel. So let me get in there. I think I can get that with a 1/2-inch socket, and may need to move the whole caboodle back here. Let me try that. Let me go ahead and unplug this thing before I can do anything else. See if we can. There's my little chair. The guide things under here to help guide the blade. Give me some pressure on it. And move this way back until we get that blade tracking under control, and then we can move everything out to belongs. Okay. Now you can see we've got clearance in here between the blade and the thing. So let's No, that's not rubbing. Let's try putting this thing back in. See what she does. Move this over here more. Okay, we're pretty close. We're close on the top. We're pretty close on the bottom. Let's see what it does here. Okay, you can see the top blade is cranking right in the center of the gullet. Bottom blade, bottom wheel, a little bit off center. I don't know if we can correct that or not. We will fiddle with it some more and see. Still dragging on something. Okay, as you can see, under here, the blade is rubbing on this adjustment here. So I need to move it back also. That's what's keeping this blade off the wheel. So let me get in there. I think I can get that with a 1/2-inch socket, and may need to move the whole caboodle back here. Let me try that. The guide things under here to help guide the blade. Give me some pressure on it. And move this way back until we get that blade tracking under control, and then we can move everything out to belongs. Okay. Now you can see we've got clearance in here between the blade and the thing. So let's, no, that's not rubbing. Let's try putting this thing back in. See what she does. Well, as you can see, that was exactly what we needed. Get that thing off there. Now that belt's tracking right in the middle. I'm sorry, the blade. Up here. Up here the blade's tracking right where we want it to. I think we're good. Okay, I went to adjust this blade guide to push this wheel out here. This is goes on the back of the blade. And this thing, the threads in are messed up. So I'm going to take this adjustment out of here, run a tap down in there, clean out the threads, and then we'll see how it does. Just got a standard 5/16 tap. I'm going to run down in there, and I'm going to use an 8-point socket to turn it with, because it's easier than going and getting a tap wrench. And I can feel those threads are pretty rough. Don't want to go too far because I don't want to mess up that where that guide slides in there. Blow that with a little air. A little WD-40. See how this thing fits in there now. Now it goes in all the way, so it can be adjusted. The way this adjusts, when you turn this, let me get this out of the way. There we go. When you have that wheel in there and you adjust it on the bottom, it pushes that wheel out just close to the back of the blade. We don't want to touch the back of the blade. So now this can adjust freely, and you can put it back on there. We'll continue trying to get the blade alignment and adjustment properly. Now these guides are they're made out of metal, and you can see that they're worn. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take them loose, flip them over, and use the other side of them. In other words, this one here, I can use this side of it, and this one here, where it's worn, I can use this side. So let me do that real quick. Okay, that's ready to go back on the bottom. So we'll go back down there and put that on. Okay, I went ahead and installed the top guide. As you can see, there's just a tiny bit of clearance here between this wheel and the blade. So it doesn't actually rub on this wheel unless there's pressure against the blade. And the guides on the front are just a tiny bit away from the blade. So they're not rubbing on the blade. The blade's not rubbing on them. They're just to guide the blade so that when you start to make a cut, the blade doesn't twist if you want to make a curved cut. Now I've got to do the same adjustment on the bottom. So let me get that done, and then we'll check out how this thing's working. Okay, we've got all the adjustments made. Got her plugged in. Let's see how she runs. Okay, well, let me put the cover back on, and then we'll see if it'll cut some wood. Okay, this is some 1/2-inch plywood. That thing works good. I like that. Okay. One other adjustment I forgot to mention before we cut that wood was you need to adjust the foot down close to your work. Lock it in place. That way the blade guides are close to the work, and it won't let the blade flex as much. It makes it easier to make your corners and cuts and stuff. Other than that, I think we got her made here. I think we're going to call this a wrap on this video. If you enjoy my videos, go ahead and subscribe to my channel. Put a like on there if you like this video. My channel is called Stretches, Tips, Tricks, and Tools. I fix old tools, I show you tricks, and I show you tools that you may never have seen before. So now I've got $6 in bearings. What else did I have to spend on this thing? I don't think I got that bolt. That bolt was like $2 at Home Depot. So I got $10 in this bandsaw, and by golly, looks like a great saw to me. Seems like it's adjusted properly too. Cuts real nice. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget, always work smarter, not harder. See you next time.